A sales price has been set for Brennan Johnson, but will any club be willing to match it? Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Coming up in today's video, a lot of talking points. We're going to be starting with Brennan Johnson. We'll be talking about Forest looking to sign a player from Brazil who himself has had his price set. There's a link to a left winger who can play on the right. And of course, all three kits have now been leaked, and we shared with you exclusively those pictures last night. Before we get into it, as always, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new, and there are only 2 tickets left at the time of recording for this signed framed Morgan Gibbs white shirt, so make sure you go grab it. Let's jump into the news and let's talk about Jono. Okay, so yesterday Brentford put in a £30 million bid, which we all laughed at, and so did the club as they flat outright rejected it. However, there have now been talks and rumours going around at the other clubs that were interested, and some thinking of tabling a £40 million bid for Jono. But the rumours that are coming out right now is that the price tag being set to at least start a conversation on Jono moving would actually be 50 million from Nottingham Forest. And in my opinion, that's probably still 10 million too little for the talent he is. He's only 22, not in his prime. Look, we covered all the ins and outs of it yesterday. We had a good laugh and a joke about Brentford coming in and what a backward step that would be for Johnson. But I am starting to get a little worried. There is no smoke without fire, as the saying goes. And more clubs are talking about Jono, and he's getting more and more column inches in the newspapers. But this doesn't necessarily mean just because clubs are interested, just because bids are put on the table, that anything will happen. But honestly, right now, I'd rather they just left us alone on Johnson. Maybe we should start hyping up Shelvey and telling the world what a great player Shelvey is, and maybe some idiot will pay 20 million for him. But at the moment, the ones they're interested are in Jono. There's been no new links to the clubs. However, it's Everton that were contemplating a bid. But now, with their FFP issues and the price tag that they potentially would have to put for Jono in and around the 50 million, you may actually see Everton cool off their interest in Brennan Johnson because they can't afford to do it. It's as simple as that. With their stadium issues, with the FFP issues, with hopefully some points deduction coming their way, they're not going to be able to afford the Wonderkid. So at the moment, it's the teams like Villa that probably would start to worry me. Teams above Villa with European football this season, they may be the ones that do start to worry me. So I'm not laughing too much about this today. I am slightly getting nervous, but I still don't see Forest selling Jono. It would take a whopping bid and maybe a sell-on clause to get him out of Nottingham Forest, or at the very least, that's what I hope so. But I am glad to hear that the club have put at least a £50 million price tag on the youngster's head. But what do you guys think? Is 50 million enough to get Johnson out the club? Or would you be looking at more? Or maybe some of you would be looking at less? Let me know. Remember, all of this is just interest. No one has said, well, nothing's come out from Jono saying he wants to leave the club or anything like that. He's under contract for another 3 years. I think maybe the club should consider recontracting Jono, upping his wages. As I said yesterday, he's only on about 30k a week. And when the likes of Chris Wood are on 90k, it does make you wonder how Brennan Johnson is feeling about the difference in wages, especially when you compare the contribution that each player did last season for the club. So I wouldn't be against recontracting for Brennan Johnson. A few of you have asked me about release clauses and things like that. As far as I know, there is nothing in the contract to state there is one. It's not really that standard in the Premier League. You tend to see more release fee clauses even in things like Serie A and the Spanish League. There tends to be, mainly in the Premier League, release fee clauses when it comes to relegations and things like that. And just in case you forgot, Nottingham Forest is still Premier League. So any relegation clauses would not be triggered currently. But get your thoughts in on this. What do you think? Do you still think Jono will be at Forest come kickoff against Arsenal at the Emirates come the 12th of August? Let me know in the comments. Okay, from one youngster to another, but this youngster is out in Brazil at Palmeiras, the club that we love to nitpick players from. Giovanni, we spoke about him about a week or so ago and let you guys know that Forest were interested in him. The versatile young attacker who can play anywhere pretty much across the line and is highly, highly regarded by Palmeiras and their fan base, is being looked at again by Nottingham Forest. In fact, the rumours are that Forest is sending scouts out to Palmeiras to have a look at him in person and see if he is worth tabling a bid for. Now, his actual value is in and around 10 to 15 euros. Million, that is. My God, imagine he was 10 to 15 euros. But the noises coming out of Palmeiras is the price they would only be willing to sit down and start talking about him would be at 40 million. That's ridiculous, man. So I can't see there being too many legs in this one. I do expect, however, Forest maybe will put in a bid, a cheeky one at 15 mil, something like that, 20 mil, I don't know. But if they're sending out the scouts, then they are very serious about having a look at Giovanni. Now, we all love the Brazilians at Nottingham Forest. We've got quite an army building up with the likes of Felipe, Danilo, Lodi, etc., Scarpinia, all being part of the Brazilian contingency that we have. So for me, why not add another Brazilian, especially these young ones that are coming through that are extremely talented? Some of you may be wondering, why is his price so much higher than, say, a Danilo, who we picked up for 18 million? The Brazilian market is quite funny. The younger they are, the more they cost usually going into Europe. So if you look at Danilo, for example, a year or two ago when Arsenal were interested in him, the price tag set on him was about 37 million. And we picked him up for somewhere between 16 and 18 million, and that was spread over the next few years. Why is that the case? Because it's seen that once they've hit that 20-year-old age, and if they haven't moved on from Brazil, people do start asking questions, and the Brazilian teams tend to panic and want to sell them for a bit less to make sure they get some money out of them. But it's the younger talents where there's a huge hype around them. Like the Palmeiras player going to Real Madrid, for example, that cost them 70 million. Had he stayed in the Brazilian league for a few more seasons, even though technically he is, as they loaned him back out, his price probably would have got down. It's a weird one, but that's how the market works, and that's why Forest were able to pick up such a great deal on Danilo. But for Giovanni, because he's still at that young age, he is going to come with that young Brazilian tax, so to speak, and potentially Forest will have to table a decent chunky size bid to get him through the door. Would I take him at Forest? 100%. I don't know if it's my Brazilian goggles coming on and what have you, but from what I've seen of him, I've been impressed. I've spoken to Mario a couple of times about him. He basically told me to F off, and that was enough to let me know that I really am interested, because if he's getting that protective over him, then Forest really would be able to sign an absolutely cracking player. So at the moment, there's no bids tabled, nothing like that. But if you believe the rumours that the scouts are out there having a look at the player, then that's step one in a very long step process. The window's only just open, so there is plenty of time to get these players in. But when it comes to these Brazilian players who are coming with no English, etc., then you do want to get them in as quickly as possible, help them settle into the new country, help them start to learn the language, get to know the players, etc., and get them on the pre-season tour. So if something were to happen with Giovanni, I'd love for it to happen early in the window and get him settled in quick. But would you guys take him? Get your comments in down below. Okay, so as we confirmed to you on a community post and on our Twitter page yesterday, make sure you go check out our socials if you're not already following us. Nottingham Forest, we can now reveal the 3 kit colours. That will be definitely there for next season. We showed you the away kit, the so-called quote-unquote Argentina kit already, and now the home kit, shock horror, is confirmed as red. But it's the 3rd kit that we can break to you now, which is dark blue with this salmony stripe on it. I kind of like it. I don't mind it. The only thing I have with it is that the initial third kit was going to be black with a copper rim. And the rumors are, as we've told you before, that Marinakis is a bit superstitious about the color black. And maybe that's why he played a part in changing that color from black to dark blue. But either way, they're Adidas kits. They look fantastic. And will you guys be grabbing any one of these? On the community post, don't forget to go check it out and put your vote in. I want to know which of the 3 kits you think are the best looking, or which of the 3 kits will you be buying, or maybe you'll be looking to grab them all. So go check out the community post after watching this video and make sure you get your votes in. It's interesting to see so far which one you guys have gone for. Okay, let's move on and talk about another left winger that has been linked to Nottingham Forest. But before we do, a quick reminder, if you haven't already, take a quick second out to hit that like button and subscribe to Forest Fan TV. So, Lewinsky, the left winger who can play as right wing, but can also play in both wing back positions. So, a young gun, 21 years old from Roma. He's Polish, playing internationally as well, but does have a price tag of 20 million put on his head. Now, having seen a fair bit of this guy, he is very, very good on both feet. Literally sun-like, if you like, in terms of left foot, right foot. Naturally, he's a right footer, but is very comfortable to play on his so-called weaker foot, the left foot. Now, Mourinho this season has used him in a bit of a wing-back position, both again on the left and right-hand side. But for me, he's more of an attacking player than he is defensively minded, and puts in lovely crosses, can find a good pass, and overall, actually a really good player. The price tag is 20 million euros, and that's probably just to get your seats at the table, because there are other clubs, as always, that are interested, and we seem to be pairing up with very similar clubs, and we did this last season as well. And that club is West Ham. West Ham are interested in acquiring his services. There's talks that they may be losing their left winger. There's talks that, well, we had the player that they brought from Burnley, who hasn't been that great of a success with his injury. He was also linked to Nottingham Forest last season. So West Ham are looking to strengthen in potentially this wing position as well. However, the other club that's trying to muscle in is Bournemouth. And Bournemouth, there are talks that they are linked to him as well. Now, out of those 3 clubs, obviously there is only one clear choice for the player, and that would be Nottingham Forest. However, West Ham can now offer Europa football because they won the Eurotrash Cup. So would that be something that may sway his decision if it gets that far down the road? We will have to watch this space and we will keep you updated. But at the moment, these are just links to him. Nothing more, nothing less, with a 20 million euro price tag on his neck. Would you take him or not? Have you seen him play? Let me know as always in the comments down below. We released a video earlier talking about the fixture list and the screw job that Forest have had, the Italian screw job, the Montreal screw job, whatever you want to call it. It is a tough set of fixtures, but there is some pieces of good news with that. I've had a look at it and I wanted to see how do certain games fall into place and do any games advantage Forest. Well, the only one, the biggest one, should I say, that springs to mind is the Brentford match. Brentford, Forest will play both times before the 16th of January, which is when the ban for Tony is up. And Forest will actually play them on the 13th of January, the second time round. So just missing seeing Tony play against us. Hopefully he can't score a stupid free kick where Czech Quixote breaks the wall and Navas parries it in. But that won't be the problem this season. So that is one set of good news. The other issues looking through it is, yes, I don't really mind too much that we're playing the so-called bigger clubs early on and away and getting them out and done. The thing for me is I would have preferred to maybe play them a couple of weeks later when they were really engulfed in all the Champions League or Europa fixtures that they might have. Because the first couple of games we're playing won't be in time to actually have the Champions League back up and underway for the likes of Arsenal, Man U, etc. It may be though when we come to playing Liverpool that Liverpool would have started their Europa campaign in their group stages, so hopefully playing Thursdays and Sundays quite regularly. So those are some little things that we can take, some crumbs of comfort. But if you do want to see the full video and my full thoughts on it, go check out the video from this morning. The link will be on the end screen of this video. But overall, I know there's a lot of people that have said you got to play every team twice. It doesn't really matter what order you get them in. But I am quite liking the look of November and December. That to me feels like a little patch where we could make some hay and really put some points on the board. My question to you guys though, and we'll finish with this, is where do you think Nottingham Forest will finish next season? Now granted, we don't know the players coming in, the players going out, etc. But just for a little fun, get in the comments what position you think Nottingham Forest will finish. And we'll just have a look and we'll see who gets it right at the end of the season. My prediction, do I dare say top 4 again? I'll let you guys know on the next live stream. On that note, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new here. We'll see you on the next video, and if there's any more breaking news today, we'll bring it to you as well. Come on, you Reds.